The couple faces challenges in the sequel as they work to save their companion and identify potential threats to his safety. The film follows a convoluted route to identify the true offender, much like an Agatha Christie mystery. Along the road, there are numerous surprises, and once more, many people pass away, some at the Spitz's hands. When they believe they have it figured out, a new detail surfaces, forcing them to reevaluate their initial assumptions. The plot twists and turns frequently, keeping the Spitz and the audience on edge right up until the very end. What the ending means is as follows. It's been 4 years since Nick and Audrey solved the murder of Malcolm Quince. Now, they run their detective agency. Despite their best efforts, their business is struggling, and they start to wonder if there is something else they should do. This is when they get a call from Maharaja Vikram, whom they'd met during the Quince case. He is getting married and has invited them to attend the ceremony on his private island. This much-needed respite is for Nick and Audrey. They get ready to take part in the celebrations and the comfort during the weekend, but when Vic is abducted and his bodyguard Mr. Lou is killed, things take a turn. Nick and Audrey conclude that 2 people are needed for this task. The other stayed behind and remained on the island, while the first took Vic away. Vic's inner circle, which consists of his future fiancée Claudette, his sister Syra, his business partner Francisco, his ex-girlfriend Countess Seku, and his former bodyguard Colonel Ulenga, is the focus of the suspicion. Who kidnapped Vic? As the kidnapper's plot is carried out, the Spitzes take immediate action. Vic was meant to ride an elephant into the building. They discover Mr. Lou, his bodyguard, who has been stabbed in the back in his place. Vic gets snatched away by a kidnapper in the meantime. Nick pursues Vic, while Audrey searches the area for signs. When the elephant arrived, she had seen a figure blending into the crowd. They flung the robe into the fire and covered their face. Audrey caught a sight of the bloody garment and sleeve. Audrey doesn't understand it wasn't blood until the very end. Famous private detective Connor Miller is called for help. The investigation picks pace when the kidnappers call for a ransom. The amount is around 70 million, and the kidnapper demands Nick and Audrey to be the ones who deliver it. By the night's end, the men who had come to collect the money are killed by Nick and Audrey, while Connor Miller dies in a car explosion. The money is taken away by someone else. Nick and Audrey discover that the Countess took the money, but she isn't involved in Vic's kidnapping. Knowing that one of Vic's closest people is the culprit, Nick and Audrey everyone to meet at the Eiffel Tower. As expected, the kidnapper shows up, threatening to kill Vic, who has a bomb strapped to his chest. Nick deduces that the kidnapper is well versed in how the situation will play out, which means they are a pro at handling such situations. The only such person they knew was Connor Miller, and to everyone's shock, he shows up to get the money. It also becomes clear that he is not interested in leaving any witnesses behind. He gets killed in a battle between Nick and Audrey. Everyone unwinds now that he is gone and the bomb is deactivated. There are, nevertheless, a few unfinished business. Miller didn't come up until the following day, despite the Spitz's knowledge that the offender was present at the ceremony the night Vic was abducted. This implies that the second individual who brought the elephant in and disposed of the robe is still around. As Audrey notices Syra's hand, she is shocked. Syra's hand initially appears to have blood on it, however it is actually covered in henna that has been spread. Audrey is reminded of the event and how Syra was not present when the dancing performance began. She appeared out of nowhere following the elephant. Another fact that Audrey knows is that once the henna has been set, it doesn't smear. Syra claims it smeared during the commotion, but Audrey knows it must have happened earlier, on the night of Vic's kidnapping. Audrey realizes it wasn't blood she saw on the robe, but henna. This means that Syra was the one who orchestrated all this. Once the truth is out, Syra confesses to everything. Why did Syra want to kill Vic? She tried again at the wedding and was better prepared this time. The crowd would ensure that no one would see her. She made it look like a kidnapping to shift the suspicion from herself. She knew that someone would be called in to solve the case once Vic was kidnapped. Connor Miller was the best private detective she knew, so she got him involved in the plan as well. Miller would kidnap Vic and show up the next day to solve the case. This way, they could keep out other investigators and frame someone else for their crime. Miller would get the ransom money, and Syra would get the family business. It would have worked out well if Nick and Audrey didn't show up. Do Nick and Audrey die? After the criminals are apprehended, Vic and Claudette flee. Vic thanks Nick and Audrey for saving his life by giving them $10 million in cash. He reveals that he has also put his helicopter at their disposal and sends his pilot to give them the money. They can go wherever they wish from here, according to instructions given to the pilot. The Spitzes are taken aback by this, but they are also happy since it improves their financial situation and gives them the opportunity to take the honeymoon they have always wanted. It looks like, after all the bumps on the road, Nick and Audrey are finally getting a happy ending. After the chaotic weekend, they can go somewhere nice and spend some time in peace. However, their plans are ruined when the pilot loots them at gunpoint. It turns out that he wasn't European, as he'd told them the last time. He is an American from Jersey, and the only person who knows that the Spitzes have millions of dollars in a bag that is worth millions too. It's not revealed why the pilot was pretending to be European, but he drops the act when he sees the opportunity to change his life forever. He takes the money and jumps off the plane in a parachute. Before they can lament the loss of money, Nick and Audrey must figure out how to fly the helicopter now that the pilot is gone. They might be good at solving murder mysteries, but none of them has handled a plane before. Does this mean that they are going to die? We can assume they will survive this experience because we don't actually witness them die. Even if they have never flown a helicopter, if they are intelligent enough to identify a murderer, they are intelligent enough to understand how to operate one. They may crash, but it won't be as bad, and they'll survive with a few scrapes and bruises or perhaps a limb or two missing. In any scenario, Nick and Audrey Spitz will survive the incident and be in good enough condition to investigate another murder.